You will now be into the conference. Everyone but you is muted on this call.
Welcome everyone to the Warren Fleet conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode, but later you will have the opportunity to ask questions during the question and answer session. It is now my pleasure to turn the conference over to Joe Steffen. Please go ahead, sir.
All right, hello, welcome. Hopefully we got the audio problems figured out. I found out I have an incompatible microphone, computer, something or other, so we'll see if this works. It might be a little bit less quality until we replace the external mic. But you got me, Joe Steffen, Director of Van Operations, and nobody else on the call today. So, lucky for you, I'll be nice and brief. But the first thing we should talk about is our weekly talking points. So every week we send out to our fleet managers early in the morning on Monday the weekly safety talking points. There's tons of stuff you have to worry about. There's so many things. So it's good to just have a refresher, something every week to talk about. And then we hold the fleet managers accountable to get that information to me that they have spoken to each driver on his or her fleet by Tuesday about that week's weekly talking points. So this week, you probably already know, but the weekly talking points are on driver distractions. So 4 types of distracted driving to watch out for is number 1, visual distractions. You know, looking at a phone, spending too much time looking at a GPS, or if you got passengers or puppy or somebody in the truck, objects outside the vehicle, spending too much time taking your eyes off the road. That's a visual distraction. Then you have a manual distraction. You know, instead of concentrating on the steering wheel, you're taking a drink, you're checking the radio, you're using your phone, which you can't do, or eating food, eating an apple, those types of things where you're manually taking your hands off the wheel so you'll reduce your response time. There's the third one is cognitive distraction, which is taking your mind off driving. Now that's got to be the toughest one when you're out there working on the road for 10 hours a day, 11 hours a day, a lot of times on the road. But some examples can be daydreaming, which I can get it. You got to distract yourself somewhat, but you got to also remain focused on the road. Being in the wrong state of mind, having an argument with somebody on the phone. That's not a very good way. That's a big cognitive distraction that can lead to unsafe behaviors. Deep thinking, getting kind of off in your own world, having deep thinking, or just generally allowing yourself to be stressed out. So those are some examples of cognitive distraction. And then the final one is auditory distraction, hearing things that are not related to driving. You can have phone notifications beeping, and then, that can be a distraction. Oh, what's that one? Oh, what's that one? Oh, what's that one? There can be conversations that are pulling your focus from the road, or really the simplest one, the biggest one, and I get it, sometimes you got to have it, but loud music. I had a conversation with one of our drivers a long time ago, was saying he couldn't hear any warnings that were coming about following too close. He had a problem with following too close. He said the camera must not be working and following too close. And after some conversation, we got talking about what kind of music he likes, and he likes heavy metal. And I said, okay, well, do you listen to it loud, or do you listen to it like it's Chopin classical music? He said, well, no, when I'm playing Twisted Sister, I'm cranking it up, and so am I. If I'm going to listen to heavy metal, I'm going to play it loud. But understand that's going to have a distraction, the auditory distraction. So protect yourself from those. It matters. Activities like that make it extremely dangerous. Even short lapses in attention can increase the risk of accidents. So just think about that. Think about the distractions that you encounter, and you're going to have some throughout your course of your day, but think about those distractions this week and what you can do to minimize the level of distraction that's going to put you in a position just to even that slight increased level of risk that can be a big factor on having a bad day versus having one of your normal days, a safe day on the road. All right, next thing I'm going to talk about is tires. Probably our toughest thing to maintain and the most difficult violation to avoid is tires. I get it. It's hard. It's hot. You got to go check tire pressure. You got to inflate it if they're low. If they're too low and they're flat, then you got to contact Road Group and get them fixed. And it's a costly thing. It's a time costly thing. But folks, you can't afford the out of service violation. You can't afford the downtime of being stuck at a scale, maybe waiting on a service call, having an even bigger delay, or worse yet, having a blowout on the road. So make sure you're checking tire pressure. Our staff, our shops in Laredo and Waterloo are charged with checking tire pressure to identify low tire pressure. Our expectation, and I will tell you that, I mean, 99% of the tires that go through there are properly inflated, and you guys are doing the right thing. You're checking them and making sure that you have good tires. But your fleet manager's job, part of their job every morning, is they get a reminder in their inbox when they check in at 7 o'clock that says to check every driver headed to Laredo and make sure that driver understands and is aware that they will be counted on to check the tire pressure before you get to A, our shop, or B, to Trade Unlimited if you're delivering directly to Trade. As a reminder, if you deliver to Trade Unlimited with the tire that's flat when they go out to check it in, and that will revoke your direct trade delivery privileges for 1 month. So the purpose of this is not to punish. Purpose is to avoid violations and to encourage positive behavior, checking tire pressure. Make sure that we're doing that, especially in these hot summer months. The third thing I want to talk about is something that happens infrequently for each individual, but for us in the office, it happens frequently enough that we're used to the process. What that is if someone has a medical event which requires a release from a doctor. So check with the safety department if you're unsure, but generally speaking, the things that are going to cause you to require, that are going to cause us to require of you a release to drive a commercial motor vehicle, and I'll circle back to those words in a little bit. But the things that are going to require that are anything that is an admission to a hospital. So if you are hospitalized and you're admitted, if you're a trip to an ER, treated and released, you're not required to provide that. Or to put better, we're not required to require of you a release to drive a commercial motor vehicle. So admission to a hospital, under anesthesia for any reason, and change in medications are case by case. There's certain medications we just got to consult with the list to determine if that's on there. Generally speaking, we want to require less of you than we have to. We don't want to make more work for you. We don't want to make more work for ourselves. But the FMCSA requires that a motor carrier have its qualified drivers, that's you, the independent contractor out there, to be in a state of fitness to operate a commercial motor vehicle. So if you're in one of those categories where you had an event, and it's your responsibility to disclose the event. So if you are in one of those categories, when you get that release, or actually better yet, when you're going through the process, you need to inform the treating physician that you'll need to have a release that specifically states the language, release to drive a commercial motor vehicle. There's just this week, there's been 2 drivers that had one had a surgery, one had a relatively simple procedure that required anesthesia. In both cases, we needed the release, and both drivers had some heartburn because we told them that they needed to have a release to drive a commercial motor vehicle, and the medical care provider didn't provide that. They provided a release to return to work or school. The FMCSA does not accept that as proof that you're fit to drive a commercial motor vehicle. And so that's why the FMCSA requires of us to have on file that release with that magic language. So they had to make an extra trip to their treating physician to get the correct terminology listed. So anytime you have a medical treatment, just ask the question, reach out to your fleet manager or the safety department. We can either have the answer right off the bat or get the answer pretty quickly for you. But we want to make it a streamlined process. So if you are needing to provide that release, that you know it while you're there the first time and don't have to go back. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is, I don't know, it's probably a hot topic, and I'll probably have some people frustrated I'm bringing it up. But folks, every week I'll get a comment from a fleet manager saying this driver had a bad week. What can we do to help them this week? And we're going to do everything we can to help them. And then I come to look back, and they took a 34-hour reset Wednesday through Friday when they had, maybe 6 hours recap, 7 hours recap, something like that. Or maybe they took a Tuesday through Thursday reset or a Monday through Wednesday reset. Folks, recap hours, don't be afraid of them. The resets so often are going to find you when there are weekends when customers are closed or when there's appointments to be had. Now, if you legit run out of hours and you got to have a reset, then that happens. But that probably happens on about 15 to 20% of the times that our contractors do a 34-hour reset away from home. Now, doing a reset at home, killing two birds with one stone. Totally understand that if you got some time available, but you want to get your home time accomplished. I understand that. But if you're away from your home and family and you have recap hours and there's a load to be hauled, please, please, please make the money. Utilize the time that you have, make the money, get the resets. The resets are gonna find you because everybody has experiences with appointments or weather or traffic or breakdowns. All sorts of things in this trucking industry remove productivity. So if you've got enough productivity so that you're running low on hours but not out, be sure to use those recaps so that you can maximize your settlements. This ain't a matter of me saying, well, you gotta run the recaps, you can't do this. It's to get your settlements higher. Your settlements are growing, the rates are growing. We want your settlements to keep going up. And I'm just here to tell you that when you have time on your clock and you take a 34-hour reset away from your home and family, it's leaving cash on the table. So we want you to make more money. So with that, Luke, could you remind our callers how to register for a question? I'm all done with all my topics for the day.
Yes, sir. If you would like to ask a question, please go ahead and press pound 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, it's pound 1 on your telephone keypad. Will be placed in the queue in the order received. We have a question from Damian Hall. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Joe, how's it going today?
Good. How you doing, Damien?
Not bad. I just got two questions on the camera thing. I had one. I thought I was coming through Chicago there on 294, and I thought I had blew a tire. So I got off on the off ramp and then went on to the on ramp side over there. Got out of the truck, checked it, didn't have a blown tire. It was just mud flapping away back there. Got back in the truck, drove down the road, but it flagged me for being on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there a certain way we're supposed to be able to stop and check these tires without getting, if there's no rest areas or truck stops, or is that just something we have to deal with in that area?
That's something you have to deal with. So the guidelines are, I can't remember if it's 15 or 10 minutes that the DOT requires that you have triangles up if you've got a flat tire. But yeah, if that's the case, log into Lytx, put that comment on you can comment on your own videos that you have. Put that comment in there and let your fleet manager know, hey, I thought I blew a tire, but it turns out it was a mud flap bracket or what. I can't remember exactly what it was with the mud flap, but a mud flap issue that you had, and then go from there.
Yeah. Oh, I talked to him about it already. The other one I had was just, I try to do my best out here. I mean, I got like 9 points under, I think, for the last however long I've been back here. But the one, it said, because I had a car like cut me off. I mean, it wasn't even 6 feet, I think it said. So I'm on my brakes and stopping and getting stopping. Well, then it said that I was on my brakes too much. But the car in front of me decided to come up in front of me and almost kind of brake check me. And then he sped up, and then he kept doing this slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up. And apparently the camera didn't catch the part where he came up in front of me and brake checked me. But when he was up ahead of me, I think like 1.6 seconds or something like that, and then he was hitting his brakes and slowing down, so I'd hit my brake and slow down. Then it flagged me for braking.
So braking is not an unsafe violation. Look at the points that are accrued. So braking is it's very simply, if there's hard braking which occurs, the camera is designed to say, okay, we're going to check this 12 to 15 second video to see what's up. I pulled yours up while we were talking, and there's some braking events, but there's no points. They're not quote unquote counting against you. Nor do I see anything on, there's no points on the highway parking on a roadside. The only points you have, there was a stopping over the line, and then there was one following distance. So braking is...
Yeah, and me, my dispatcher, seen that following over the line. I mean, that thing turned quick.
Yeah.
That damn light did. But yeah, I was just like, all right, I didn't know. Because, the part on that spot right there, too, on 67, that's right by XPAC. There's a line there that they got that's far away back from where the sign is. Then you got like it turns, but you still got another 30 feet until you actually get into the intersection. So my tire might have went over that line, but I was still not even close to the intersection at that point. It just looks different than what it is there. Unless you've actually been to that intersection, it kind of throws you off guard. So I can see why the camera would do that too.
Yeah. I mean,
Literally, there's a building you can't see to the left, so you got to creep up.
yeah. But yeah, to answer your questions,
No, that's
breaking is not an unsafe violation. It's a trigger to review to see if there is anything unsafe that's happening on that or to protect you.
Yeah, you just get some of these people like today I was cruising down the road, just normal, and some guy cut me off. I mean, I couldn't even see his license plate. He cut me off that quick, and I was immediately on my brakes, and then he jumps in front of a camper and like slams his brakes and brake checks him, and the camper almost lost control. So I was already completely on my brakes and ready to stop at that point. But people out here are really testing their 9 lives, I guess.
You got that right.
No, that's all I wanted to talk about, Joe.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
All good. Thanks, Damien. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you're doing out there.
All right, thanks. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien. And again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and press #1. I don't see any other questions.
All right. Well, I appreciate you getting on the call today. Ben was scheduled out, so I know he's away for a little bit. I imagine he'll probably be back, and I'm looking forward to getting into the month of August. Hard to believe this is the last one of July. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Thanks everybody for being on the call.